Hello and welcome back to Bits and Bobs. In today's video we're going to be going through the history of the 1 penny coin, the penny. From its early days as a hammered coin right up to the present day coins now we see in our change and still used 1 penny pieces today. The penny is the oldest denomination still used as it was first made over 1,230 years ago in around 785 AD. A very old coin with lots of history, so let's go through and talk about the history and all the different designs. Here is the first British penny, minted under King Offa of Mercia before England had just one king and there were different parts of England ruled by different kings. King Offa ruled Mercia and struck silver pennies to be used under his lands as the first 1 pence piece used in England. We can see there the word Rex for king on one of the sides. The Royal Mint was founded in 886 AD under the reign of Alfred the Great, and this is when the next step in the evolution of the penny happened. We see here one of the first ever coins made by the Royal Mint, and it is an Alfred the Great penny. To the left we can see a portrait side profile of King Alfred the Great and the word Alfred, and his initials on the other side. The picture currently on screen was actually taken by myself at the Royal Mint Museum, as they have an Alfred the Great penny on display there. One of the first coins ever made by the Royal Mint can still be seen at the Royal Mint in the museum tour today, and I was lucky enough to see it in person. These coins weighed around 1.28 grams and had a diameter of about 20 millimeters, which is pretty much the same size in millimeters as the coins of today, the pennies of today. Now then, throughout the evolution of the coin, it stayed roughly similar for a while. Here is a penny from the reign of Edward the Confessor, a famous king, and we can see another side profile there of him. This is a coin, a penny of the reign of William the Conqueror, and we can see now he faces out of the coin, facing forwards, and still is crowned, holding a scepter there, and a portrait. A few of these design choices would say the same. It was then under the reign of Henry I that the first short cross design was released. A famous design among hammered coin collectors will know very well, the short cross penny. And then the long cross was released later under Edward I. The long cross there is designed to stop the coin from being clipped, where the coin can be sort of shaved off around the edges to get free silver. The cross means it can only be done in those smaller segments, so less profitable for those illegally clipping coins. At this time, the Royal Mint was not based just in one main headquarters. It had a mint in London, as well as numerous provincial mints around the country providing coins for those areas. Here is a penny from the reign of Henry V in the mid-1400s, and we can see the design is very similar to the ones before, an outward-facing portrait and a long cross design still on the penny. The next change came under the reign of Henry VII. We see a sovereign-type penny. Named the sovereign type as the portrait of the king, the portrait on the throne is similar to the one used of him on his new released gold sovereign, featuring a throned portrait of him on the sovereign and here on the penny, as well as a royal shield on the reverse. This coin now weighed 0.66 grams with a diameter of 15.5 millimeters, so the coin was getting smaller and lighter due to the rising silver price. Here is a penny from the reign of Henry VIII. We can see he kept the throned design portrait facing out of the coin sat on the throne and the shield on the other side. And here is a later one where he's reverted back from the throne portrait to a facing out bust, and you can see his fairly recognizable portrait there on the obverse. Moving now to the pennies of Elizabeth I, we can see a few more styles have been brought back to what we know today. For instance, the portrait of the Queen is facing to the left, and that will now stay there as a side profile portrait for all the future pennies. And on the reverse is the royal quartered shield, 2 parts of the 3 lines of England as usual. Here is a James I penny, and because the coin got so small now due to the rising silver price and the shrinking coins, there's just a rose and thistle design on each side. The weight is now only 0.45 grams and a diameter of 16 millimeters. Here is a penny of Charles I. We can see a more detailed quartered shield on the reverse, and a cool portrait of him facing left on the obverse with the digit 1 as it's a 1 pence coin. Now that was the last hammered penny to ever be made. A big change came in the reign of Charles II with the introduction of milled coins and Maundy coins. And the Maundy coins we can see here are set on screen, but if you look closely at the penny, this penny was also decided to be in circulation as well as being a Maundy coin. Here we can see a zoomed in portrait of the circulating penny from the reign of Charles II. The same design as the Maundy one, with 1C, the date and the crown at the top. The coin was slightly heavier than before at 0.5 grams, so half a gram now. A very small coin, staying the same weight and shape and size and everything for the next few monarchs. We have a James II one here, and he's adopted a Roman numeral 1 underneath the crown with date either side, a tradition that stays very well on Maundy coins. And for the circulating ones, here we see a circulating William III with the same design on the reverse and of course the new portrait of the king on the obverse. Here is a Queen Anne circulating penny with the Maundy style design still on the reverse and her portrait on the obverse. Here is a George I circulating penny with the Maundy design on the reverse and his portrait on the obverse. Here is a George II circulating penny with the Maundy design on the reverse and his portrait to the obverse. And here is a George III circulating penny from early in his reign with the Maundy design on the reverse. But now, a big change. Pennies are no longer silver. As in the reign of George III, the cartwheel penny is released as the first non-silver penny. It's made of pure copper, and is a very big coin. It is still worth its weight, and so as copper is worth much less than silver, the coin is much bigger. You can see, however, that Lady Britannia has made her first appearance on the penny a reoccurring theme. The cartwheel penny weighed 28.35 grams, over 1 ounce just for a penny coin, with a diameter also very large at 36 millimeters, similar size to a crown coin just for a penny. That was only minted in 1 year. In 1806, a new type of penny was released. We see here Britannia once again, holding a sprig of leaves, the trident and the shield to her side with a boat behind her, and a new portrait of the king. This coin weighed less at only 18.9 grams and a diameter of 34 millimeters. Still a very big coin for a penny though. With the same dimensions and sizes, the George IV penny looked like this. We have Lady Britannia facing the other way now, opposite way on the coin, the national flowers below her and a legend around. We see here now the portrait of George IV on the obverse, wearing his laureate on there. The reverse design of penny and the size and weight of it was all kept the same for William IV's reign and William IV pennies. The only thing changed, of course, was the portrait of the obverse, the portrait of the monarch, which was now changed to William IV. And here is his right-facing portrait by William Wyon. Also by William Wyon is the portrait of the young Victoria, featured on the obverse of the Victorian first type pennies, the still big copper design with the unchanged size, weight and shape of the coin. Now then, the bronze recoinage was the next change to happen. In 1860, all copper coins were made bronze in the bronze recoinage, and here is an 1860 penny of the new type. Both sides have been changed. A new portrait of Queen Victoria has been released for this obverse design, and changed for the reverse too. We see the words 1 penny giving the denomination, and the date of the coin is now below Britannia there, 1860. These coins weighed less, at 9.6 grams, and a diameter of 30.8 millimeters, slowly coming down to a more reasonable size. There were then a few changes just to the design, not the shape or weight. There's the different font used for the word 1 penny and the smaller date on the later Victorian coins, which also have a new portrait of Queen Victoria, known as the Veiled Head or Old Head. There is then the portrait used of Edward VII when he was reigning, and used on pennies. We have the portrait of George V used on pennies. This is the small head variety. The same design was used in 2 different sizes on the coin. We have Humphrey Paget's design of George VI here, facing left and uncrowned on the coin. And then we have the Queen Elizabeth II pennies of the first portrait of the Queen by Mary Gillick there. Then the next change would be in decimalization. As 1967 was the last year these entered circulation, as decimalization was fast approaching and a new penny would be released. And here it is. It literally says new penny. For the first few years the design had a new penny wording, as it's a new coin, and the portcullis crowned design with the number 1 underneath. And a new portrait of the Queen by Arnold Machin, the second portrait released for decimal coins. The weight of the penny was now much less, at only 3.56 grams and a diameter of 20.3 millimeters, returning to that rough size of the first original pennies all those years ago. In the early 80s, the design was changed from new penny to 1 penny, as they weren't new coins anymore, and the obverse saw a new portrait, the third portrait of the Queen by Raphael Macluf, also in the 80s. The next change came to the composition, as in 1992 the composition was changed from the bronze alloy that had been used since the other pennies to a new copper-plated steel alloy, making pennies cheaper to produce. The next change was an obverse change in 1998. Here we see the fourth portrait of the Queen by Ian Rank Broadley. The next change came in 2008 when the shield design was released onto the penny. This might not look like a very good design singularly, but then it can make up the royal shield when put with the other coins in circulation, as they all got a redesign. The fifth and final portrait of the Queen was released onto pennies in 2015, and there's the last change, until now, as the Charles III penny is soon to be released. Who knows when, and who knows what design will be on it. Please do comment down below your favourite era of penny. Do you like the old hammered ones, some more of the pre-decimal classic ones, or the new penny of today? Please do subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching to the end, and we hope you'll join us again for more coins.